Russell Dvorsky went to work as a teenager, later bought the business that employed him, and went on to become mayor of his hometown. He says you don't get that kind of track record without some advanced planning, something he says Texas leaders failed to do ahead of the Texas deep freeze, which made a bad situation worse.
700 people froze to death in that storm. So firing everybody and leaving the same policies in place changes nothing.
But if you listen to the talk down in Austin, the air is filled with change. Changes in ERCOT's board of directors will give the state's top politicians more say, and the agency that regulates it less. The governor, lieutenant governor, and the House Speaker will get to pick 5 people to serve on ERCOT's board. That's 1/3 of its makeup. Critics say it will do almost nothing to help the power grid, but Dvorsky says it will help the politicians.
Because instead of having one target saying it's all the governor's fault, well, now, no, it's the Speaker's appointment did that, or the lieutenant governor's appointment did it, or the governor's appointment did it. It gives them more coverage rather than less accountability.
Meantime, the wheels of big government have started turning on the new Texas energy market.
The Public Utility Commission is taking robust action to implement this legislation. We have 30 rulemaking projects underway at the moment, which is an unprecedented effort in the recent history of this agency.
And while the thought of more regulation upsets some in politics, experts say some rules we can't do without.
We've already got regulation. We've got poorly functioning regulation. We've got regulation that says do one thing when we needed something completely different to happen. So it's not a question of regulation, yes or no. It's a question of the right regulations to make sure that our grid is reliable.
She says Texas leaders' poorly designed power market, a market which economists warned them about, made a bad situation worse.
But I think the governor's job was to see what was coming and make sure that he was communicating the right priorities, and I don't think that happened.
She says Texas spins its wheels working on a 10-year-old problem, while the state needs to better plan for the future, especially as we have as many as 1,600 people a day moving here by some estimates.
We got to have a grid that's going to support all that increased demand. Somebody is capable of planning for this if we just have the right somebodies in the right place and we give them the power to do it. We need an agency that can plan for the future, see what our needs are going to be in the future, and how do we provide for those resources.
Dvorsky agrees. He says many big politicians these days do like their friends on Wall Street and look only to the end of the quarter for results.
We don't have people looking out for our kids or our grandkids.
He says such short-term thinking leaves us short.
A statesman will do what's the right thing, and he'll do it for your grandkids. Politicians are going to do what sounds good for today and what will put a vote in his pocket tomorrow.
He says fixing that will go a long way to fixing ERCOT and many, many other problems too. Dennis Turner, 25 News.
Dennis, thank